All right, thank you everybody for joining me. It's May 20th. This is going to be our Silat class. As always, we'll acknowledge all the different martial arts from all over the world, regardless of content area. So Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, Japanese. Where I really want to spend the time today, it's going to be a lot like Monday. I want to put together some resources for people that are training on their own, that don't have the benefit of a partner. This seems to be what, or the situation most of our attendees find themselves in right now. And, I'd like what we're covering to reflect that. So we've spent a fair amount of time on the ground portion, or the ground domain, as I like to call it, of my Silat core curriculum. Where I think I want to start today is the stand-up, and talk about, we started developing this last week. I really want to advance that further and give you some things to think about. And then next week, I'll bring Simo Jean back in and demonstrate on a person. But this will be a lot like Monday's class, where our training is just going to be us in the air, preparing for when we have a partner available to us in the future. So everybody just getting a left lead. Okay, so first level, yellow ikit, we're just dealing with somebody firing a jab at us from the orthodox lead. So remember, we have split, right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks. And I have a little bit of cross pollination here with the Panantukan section of my FMA curriculum. So let's cover both in the same time and space here. If I split and go to the eyes with this Sungab, that's the first of 4 that I teach at Panantukan level 1. If I split and go Sungab to the throat, that's the second variation. If I split and punch, now, you all know my back. I tend to default to a vertical punch. I think even in my Panantukan curriculum, this is labeled as a chung choi, which is obviously Chinese terminology, but that's how I will tend to do this. There would be nothing wrong, variation number 3, with doing a palm down Western punch. And then variation number 4, we get a little bit deeper and we check the rear hand. So this is for somebody who has this form, right? So they actually have this hand up here. So instead of striking, you enter and monitor and pin this rear hand in place. And you're only going to do that, boom, until you can come into some other kind of structure or some other kind of follow-up. If you stand there all day long, they're obviously going to find a way out of it. So once again, split and go to the eyes, split and go to the throat, split and punch, whether vertical or palm down, split and monitor. You got to get a little deeper on this one. Split and monitor the rear hand. So again, we're kind of cross-pollinating the Silat curriculum with what we're going to do later, because I'm really going to try and get you through over the next couple of weeks all of the level 1 FMA when we get there. Okay, so here's a little bit of cross-pollination. So we know we can split with any 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? If we slide, that's against the orthodox lead, that's with our right hand, right? Our lead hand guides into our rear elbow for Sika. We've talked about this timing, all right? And, in actuality, you're going to pat it. But for learning, you can kind of entertain this moment of freezing it for learning's sake. If my rear hand puts a lid on it and I come up vertically and mouse it, that's my vertical gunting. If my rear hand puts a lid on it and I parry over the top, that's my diagonal gunting. So a split with any of those variations. Okay, just be aware if you do number 4, monitor the rear hand, you're not getting a shot of your own. Right here, eyes, I hit the eyes, throat, I hit the throat, punch, well, I punch them. Here, you're just getting a check, but that might be the appropriate response. Again, if you know somebody has a good straight right punch, that might be the appropriate response. Okay, so split with whichever variation, slide, Seiko, vertical gunting, diagonal gunting. Put your right side in front. So let's move straight into level 2, right? So here's my split. Left hand puts a lid on it, right hand attacks. You would have eyes, throat, punch, check, all 4 of the same possibilities. And again, I'm only going over those 4 so that we can kind of speed through that in the next 45 minutes in FMA, right? But there's my split. My slide is going to be with my left hand going over that right. Because again, we're fighting somebody in a southpaw stance, and they're firing their jab against us at the 2nd level. So split and slide. Seiko, lead hand, guides into the rear elbow. Seiko. Vertical gunting. Rear hand puts a lid on it. Lead hand comes up and mouses. Okay, and diagonal gunting. Parry with the rear hand. You can drop this lead hand a little bit on these last 2. As long as this hand is savvy, that's our diagonal gunting. So one more time, or southpaw, right lead. Left hand puts a lid on it, right hand attacks. Split. Left hand does a sliding leverage attack. Slide. Right hand guides into the left elbow. Seiko. Left hand parries, right hand comes up and mouses, vertical gunting. Left hand parries, right hand lays over the top, diagonal gunting. Okay? Now, let's go back left lead. And again, tonight's offerings will be, because this is the state most of you are in, I'm not going to bring Simo Jean back in until next week. All in the air, all solo, preparing us for when we have a partner available to us again. Okay? So technique 1, leg sweep, beset, dalam, leg sweep in front of the body. All right? In Filipino, it's silhig. Okay? And we're gonna do this together. So everybody left lead. We're back to level 1. We're learning these 6 basic throws against an orthodox lead person who's throwing their jab. Okay, so you choose any of those responses that you want that we just looked at. You know by now, I really like the split entry, but it's up to you. Okay, your left hand, regardless, your left hand would grab, whatever you did, your left hand would grab the wrist, your right hand would brace for this straight arm bar, and you would step in with the right foot in front of them. Okay, so they end up straight arm, force down. Actually, this side. They end up like that. Okay, so, I enter. I'm in front of them. Stay where you're at. Let me change this angle. Okay, the actual technique is that. That's the silhig, or the beset, or the leg sweep, or leg trip in front of their body. I'm going to go get the other foot, but I know in doing so, I'm going to lose a beat. So I knee them in their face with the right foot, and I step in place. Then I would sweep this out towards me or towards the left side of my body, and that's the technique. We'll do that. I'll do that for you from a couple different angles. Again, trying to find like the best This is pretty good, okay? So, you know, whichever response you wanted to use, left hand grabs their wrist, right hand forearm on the straight arm bar, and you force them down and step in front of them with your right foot. You sweep back, leg sweep with your right leg. You're going to lose a beat anyways, so you knee them in the face and step in behind what's now become their lead foot, their left foot, and you would sweep towards you or towards the left. Okay, let me break that down one more time with a different angle. So whichever Southeast Asian hand option you want, left hand grabs the wrist, right hand goes on their forearm, step in and get them bent over in front, and you're in front of them, holding the straight arm bar. Right leg sweeps back, knee them in the face as you step in. Everybody just freeze where you're at. Let me, this way, here. This way you can see my feet. So I just kneed and I stepped in, and I'm going to sweep the supporting foot towards me. And that's going to take away the final base and drop them. So that's technique one, leg sweep in front of the body. Okay, now I want to try this since we're taking the time for this, but I think it'll be a worthwhile investment. Everybody right lead. Okay, so you would choose whichever one. Again, you know I really like the split entry, but it's up to you. My right hand would grab the wrist. My left hand would straight arm bar, and I would step in with my left foot in front of them. My left leg, change this angle for you. My left leg would sweep back. I would knee them in the face en route to going and getting the other foot, and I would sweep it in and towards me. So this is technique one from my curriculum. Again, leg sweep or leg trip in front of the body. Beset dalam or silhig. Let's go back to the left lead. Okay. Now you've all seen me do this in prior classes. The entry that I prefer for this one is a modified version of the diagonal gunte, because I usually parry and I step in with the left side of my body. This is actually under the left armpit, and I'm anchoring, okay? So let me change that angle one more time. It's that transition that's the hardest. Even if I know you can't really see my hands, even if I split entry and then I step in and I push with my right and then lay my left in place, I'm now anchoring with, change this angle just slightly. I'm anchoring with this left hand, and the inside of my foot is on the inside of what would be their left foot, which is still in the lead. I sweep, and then I collapse. Okay, so it's inside foot sweep, a foot sweep on the inside. Try to find the best angle, the widest angle. So if I parry and step in, I'm foot to foot. I want to avoid like clashing shins, but that's kind of where we're at. Okay, I'm sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so I'm here. I continue pushing, anchoring with this while I sweep towards myself with my left. My right steps on the back of their knee and collapses. That's technique two, inside foot sweep. Okay, so we're gonna, we're obviously I'm recording this. If you want to spend some time with this recording, and I'm sorry, I need to stop talking in time frames. I know that makes me sound very irresponsible. What I've noticed during this pandemic is anytime I say such and such will happen in the next 24 hours, invariably something comes up and prevents me from having that thing, whether it's a meeting or a school-related thing with one of my kids. And the reason I'm saying that, I was supposed to have uploaded Monday's classes. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I will get this posted as quickly as I can. And if you can practice all of these in the air on both sides before next week we can really like expedite your understanding, okay, is what I was trying to say. So now let's also do this. Let's get a right lead. So they're in a southpaw. They jab. If I pair it with my left and step in with my right hand anchoring and my right foot. Okay, stay where you're at, please. Let me change this angle. So you're here, I just stepped in. Now I sweep back towards myself and my left foot collapses then. That's technique 2, right side dominant. So remember again, first level of my curriculum, we're fighting Joe or Jane generic in an orthodox lead, right? Firing their jab. Second level, we're fighting a southpaw, firing their jab. So that and the great part is the body only has 2 sides. This is where we're getting to eventually with all this. You can attack the left side of the body with it either in the lead or with it either in the rear. You can attack the right side of the body with it either in the lead or with it in the rear. And that's where we want to get to, not being so dependent on, oh, it's technique X, I got to have it in such and such lead. We want to dissolve that even by the second level. Okay, so now everybody go back to left lead. Technique 3. Sorry, let me go back real quickly. Technique 2 was inside foot sweep, now, or sapudala, or walisk. Now we're going to outside foot sweep, or sapuluar, also called walisk in Filipino. So this one, I'm just going to I'm going to standardize it. We're all going to do the same thing. Everybody split entry. Okay. Now imagine just right downward diagonal elbow that goes through and anchors on their right shoulder. So maybe what I should do is break that part down, and then I'll for you closer, and then we'll worry about the lower body. So everybody split. Right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks in some fashion, doesn't matter. Okay, you kind of open that up, right elbow making an angle 1, downward diagonal, but it goes through your hand and you stick on their right shoulder. Okay, once again, 1, then you just kind of toss that open, elbow, and attach or anchor. And you can keep this cover here. Okay, you'll be safer that way. 1, open, 2, anchor. Okay, one more time. Split entry, kind of pop them open, right downward diagonal elbow, right anchor. All right, so now focus on my feet. A little bit more, I'm gonna change the angle. So you all know what's going on the upper body, okay? And I apologize, everybody. If I had known, I would have invested in a webcam months ago, but it is what it is for now, okay? I'm sure I'll get one in the not too distant future. All right, so on the high line though, you already know what's happening. Everybody do your split. We're in a left lead. Here's a split entry. Do your right elbow and right anchor, just the way we were practicing. Now imagine that right hand that's grabbing their shoulder, you pull them into a right knee and you set that down outside their left foot. Okay, so I'll do that a couple more times for you. The hardest, this is one of the hardest basics, if I'm being real with you. variation number 3, outside foot sweep. Okay, so we know we're going to split. You know how to do that. We know we're going to elbow and anchor. Okay, now again, my imaginary opponent is facing me. I've got my hand on their right shoulder. I knee them, push down their shoulder line, and I end up stepping outside of their left foot. So this one, everybody go left lead again. And what I may need to do is feed you through the technology and kind of talk you through it so that it makes sense. Okay, so I feed you the, I know you can't really see my upper body, but it doesn't matter. I feed you the jab and you split it. You kind of open my hands up and you elbow me and you anchor on this with your right hand on this shoulder. Okay, you knee me and set your foot down on the outside of this lead foot. And that's what you're really looking to do. So once again, you split, you kind of momentarily just open me up, you elbow me and anchor, you knee me, and then you step down, and you're also pushing down the shoulder line to your, kind of your right, away from you, and you end up putting me here. Okay, so again, it's not a great second runner-up for me actually being with you and being able to show it to you, but on your end, one, open, elbow, anchor, knee, push, and step. So that you're pushing down their shoulder line. You're pushing this way. So that they, unless they just want to eat it, they have to rebalance here. That's the time. That's what you're looking to do. You're looking to put your opponent in this regrettable, barely balanced position. Okay, so that's oh, and then let's finish that technique in the air. Okay, so we're all gonna do it together. Left lead, split, open, elbow, anchor, knee, push, and step in. Okay, downward diagonal pressure with, stay where you're at, look at my foot, downward diagonal pressure with rising diagonal pressure off that foot. Okay, so imagine what you're doing here. You split, you open me, you elbow me, you anchor, you knee me, you push me down here, you're pushing down this direction. Nice, comrade, that looked good. You're pushing down this direction on my elbow while your foot, your right foot, is on the outside of this foot and it's going up. You're knocking me, so that it's a horrible fall. It's an absolutely terrible fall. And on your end, yeah, that looks nice, Ivan. On your end, that's exactly what all you want to be doing is there. That's what all you're looking to do. You're totally balanced and you're just looking to completely destroy their balance and structure. That's it. So that's technique 3, Sapu Luar, or Walisk, outside foot sweep. Foot sweep that is outside of their foot. Okay. And in fact, you know, we might want to do this, even though it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's better than not doing anything. Technique 1 and 2, I'm going to feed you through the technology. That way, at least you can kind of think about it and do it. So let's go back real quickly. And you know what? Let's just isolate the left lead. Because again, this is our focus. is having you get these first 6. There's 6. We're through half of them, obviously. Let's get these 6 down against the orthodox, the left lead, and start there, okay? So in the air, remember we were going, you know, split entry, stepping in, sweeping back with the right, knee the face, and then, you know, removing that. So let's just standardize it. I know I'm very split entry focused, but that one works well for this one. So everybody, if I'm feeding you, you do a split entry, okay? And then what was it on this side? Your left hand goes on my wrist. Your right hand goes on my forearm. You step in and you get me hunched over. You're now standing in front of me. You sweep back with your right leg, which moves this out of the way. You knee me in the face as you step in and hook this. As you step in and hook this, it knocks me down here. You sweep this up and out, and that's where I fall. So once again, let me change that angle. Okay, so I know you can't see the upper body, but this way, this is better than not doing it. So you just did a split, you're in a left lead, you just did a split entry. Your left hand grabs my wrist, your right hand goes, you know, straight arm on my tricep, and you step in front of me and force me down. You're standing in front of me. We're facing the same direction. You sweep back with your right leg. You knee me in the face as you push in and hook behind this foot. You now sweep that towards you, and that's where I fall. Okay, and once again, before next week, please make sure you've gone over this a couple times. I'll bring Simo Gina in next week, but let's all work it in the air and kind of get comfortable with it. And then we can really, like, this is the plan, do it independently, almost like traditional Silat. And then I can bring a partner in next week and we can look at it. Okay, so remember technique 2, let's just standardize it. Okay, they're jabbing. You can drop this lead hand just a little bit. Parry and diagonal gunting with your left hand under the armpit as you step in with your left foot. Stay where you're at. Let me change the angle for you. Okay, so I'm anchoring with this. I know this hand is out of frame. I'm sweeping back. That's the inside foot sweep, and then I'm collapsing with the right foot. Okay, so what's happening here, if I'm your, sorry, this'll do. Here, if I'm your partner, your opponent, okay, you're doing, as I jab you, you're parrying that, and you're anchoring and pushing me over here. Now the inside of your left foot is in and about here. You sweep towards yourself with that left foot, and then your right foot steps on the back of my knee to collapse me. That's, again, I'm trying to show you what you would be seeing. Okay, so that's technique 2, inside foot sweep. So one more time. So you diagonal, as I jab, you diagonal gunting into that anchor, and your left foot is inside, almost like we're shin to shin. You sweep towards yourself with your left, you collapse my knee with your right. Okay? All right, technique 3 we worked on. Technique 3 is the outside foot sweep. So you know you're splitting, opening, elbow, anchor, knee, push. and then pushing down on the shoulder line control with this outside foot sweep. And if I'm your opponent, here's your split entry. You're opening me, you're elbowing, you're anchoring on this shoulder. You hit me with that knee, you push me down my shoulder line. You're pushing, I'll take this fall for you, it's fine. You're pushing down here while you lift that foot up. That's your goal, okay? That's the best I can do without an opponent. If anybody was watching this without the audio, they'd probably think I was crazy. Okay. This is my Zoom Chi course where all of you do the that'd be really funny. We could really trick some people. But I'm sorry. Anyways, so that's technique 3, outside foot sweep. Okay, so your right foot is outside of here. You're sweeping this up as you're pushing me down on the high line on the so you end up, you know, anchor, knee, push, downward diagonal pressure, rising diagonal pressure with your foot. It's very comfortable for you. It's horrible for your partner, your opponent, when you do it properly. Okay? All right, technique 4, I think you're gonna like it because of how simple it is the leg sweep or the leg trip behind the body. So Beset Luar, again called Silhig. So we're gonna standardize it so that everybody can get it. And I know I'm getting very, very, very split entry happy, but this way you learn it and then later you can do whatever Southeast Asian hands you want to do. So we split the jab. Okay. My right hand, and you can use your thumb here despite things I've said in other times. Your right hand grabs the wrist. Okay, so you're grabbing the wrist, you're grabbing here. Okay. Your left hand slides up their right shoulder. So kind of up this line. You are pulling down towards the floor, almost like you're trying to touch their knuckles to the ground. Behind them, as you step in with your left foot, I'm sorry, everybody, I lost the frame there. And it's like a clothesline sort of a motion as your left leg does the leg trip. Let me give you a different vantage point. That was not very good because I wasn't looking at the camera. Not very good on my part. You're all doing great. Split. As I open this person up, I step directly behind them with my left foot. Here. So cut down, pull down, sweep behind them. Okay, so what would you be seeing if we were working together? Well, as I jab, you split. You grab this with your right hand, this wrist. You put your left hand kind of here. You step behind me with your left foot. And then you're pulling down here with, yes, with the wrist pull as you sweep back with your left foot, and I end up going over your leg. If you've done, I don't remember if, I think they have it in Nihon Jiu-Jitsu, but maybe not. If you've done any Aikijitsu or Aikido, this has a real Ariminagi type clothesline type of a vibe. Albeit in the Japanese art, it is a legitimate, like a clothesline, but it's got that kind of energy where you split, you step in right behind them, and you just dump the person. Okay. In a Santo Silat, Once you enter, it's almost like you're hauling the person down over this leg, like they fall over it. Traditional Silat is going to put more of an emphasis on actually doing the beset. The beset is that leg sweep. Okay, if I'm using the Indonesian terminology. They both work, trust me, okay? If you get the position correct, you can keep this left leg static and just dump them over it, or you can make it even worse and actually sweep back with the left leg. So remember, technique 4 is the leg trip behind the body. Excuse me. Okay, so again, split, grab the wrist with the right, set this up kind of along their right shoulder with the left, step straight behind them, and then pull and sweep them back. Technique 4 is usually the one that most people get the fastest. It is, I mean, I know I'm doing it in the air, I look crazy doing it in the air, but most people, I've been teaching this long enough over the years, this is the one that typically most people get the fastest. Okay, so technique 1, leg sweep in front of the body. Technique 2, inside foot sweep. Technique 3, outside foot sweep. Technique 4, leg sweep behind the body. Technique 5, head and arm throw, puter kabala in Indonesian, or labai in Filipino. This is going to be very specific, but if you'll humor me, you'll be able to do this one, okay? So again, we're just gonna stick with it so that everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody, left lead, split. Okay, now your right arm is gonna kind of, go ahead, sorry everybody. Your right arm is gonna kind of open this arm out as your left elbow, you move in and elbow the brachial, their left brachial. Your left arm is going to anchor on their left shoulder, and your right arm is going to underhook. Okay? So let's invest in that. That's worth an investment to get that properly. So let's split. Okay, right arm starts to open this up, right hand, as the left moves in and elbows the brachial. Excuse me. Left hand hooks or anchors on their left shoulder. Right hand underhooks. Okay, now left knee, push to your left, like diagonally away with your left. And now lift with your right arm as the left arm throws the head through. Okay? So again, left lead, just trust me. Okay, this is, I mean, what's funny about this is even though we're on a Zoom meeting, this is doing Ken Bongin and stuff. This is how Silat was taught for hundreds of years. So let's do it, and then next week we'll plug it all together. Split. Okay, right arm opens as the left elbows the brachial. Left anchor on the left shoulder. Right underhook. Okay, left knee to the groin, and I push to my left on the side of the head. Then, with my left hand, I push the head down as my right arm lifts their left arm, and I throw their head through. Head and arm throw. So it's like push the head down as I lift the arm and then throw the head through. That's head and arm throw. That's literally the English name of this technique. Okay, so one more time. Split. Open as I move in a little bit, and I elbow with the left to their left brachial. Left anchor, right underhook. Left knee, push to my left. Then pull the head back as I lift the arm and throw the head through. Okay. So without getting too up in my headspace about having everything correct, just watch me a couple times. That's where I want to be. Okay. And I mean, I know I'm teaching, so obviously I'm going slow, I'm going step by step, and I'm breaking things down. But let me also get this on the video. You want to start like technique 1. That's a real kembongan of technique 1. Technique 2, like you want to start getting technique 3. You want to start getting some fluidity and getting comfortable, okay? Technique 4, the one that I was just doing, technique 5. Like you want to start moving with it a little bit. And I mean, obviously you can't do that if all the pieces aren't there. That's why I'm breaking it down for you. But when you get comfortable with it as a kembongan, I'm using that for right now. Let's use kembongan as a verb, and let's have it translate to Silat shadow boxing. So you do the movements that we're doing in Silat that we would normally do with a partner in the air. Okay? So I owe you one more technique because I want to get all 6 so that we can work on it before next week. But another part of this is doing a kembong, or I'm totally gonna butcher this in terms of grammar. Kembonganing the 6 techniques. That's what you got to do. Okay, get out of the frame or I'm gonna throw you. Okay. All right. So all right. Anyways, technique 6. All right. So they are in. All right. Just took me a second. So I'm like, what? I couldn't see it for a second. All right. So we're in our left lead. Okay. They throw their jab. We're going to diagonal gunting for a split second. We're gonna slap them in the face as we step in with the right side of our body. This elbow would be on their sternum in front, and my leg would be behind them. Okay, so diagonal, I'm doing it low on purpose so you can see my hands. Diagonal gunting over the top. Left hand slaps them in the face as my right side steps in. My leg would be behind them, my elbow would be over on their sternum. And then this is all, I'm gonna drag them. If I'm in Inasanto, I'm just gonna go here. If I'm in Penchak Silat Sarah, I'm gonna do this with a little hip bump. One of my first traditional Silat instructors, Mahaguru Stephen Plank, he used to say, this is his joke, not mine, so that's why I'm giving him credit. Once I enter, he used to say, you do your Elvis impression. So it's like a little bit of hip with that compression. To where I actually thought, let me show you this angle. For a few years, I actually thought the kinjit was that hip bump. And kinjit actually means compression. So when I go here and I enter, this compression and then them tripping over my leg, that's actually kinjit. Kinjit means compression in Indonesian. We looked up compression in Filipino, but it wasn't anything that the Kuntao or the Panantukan or the Dumog people actually used. So for technique 6 only, I don't have a Filipino equivalent. I've got English, compression, and I've got Indonesian, kinjit. Okay, so again, diagonal gunting over the top, slap them in the face as you step in with your right side. Compress. You know, you can also windmill compression. So from the side, everything, I'm sorry, here, slap. This is like right on their chin, and you just circle back and they fall over your leg. Okay, you can kinge it Seiko. That means compress with your elbow, or you can do the windmill variation. Either one of those are acceptable. Okay, so I'm over time, but let me put this on video so that it'll be part of the recording. So this is really what I'd like you to work on before next week, is doing a Kembangan of all 6 techniques. So technique 1. Okay. Technique 2. Technique 3. Technique 4. Technique 5. And technique 6. Okay? So I went a little bit faster. I'm over time. Surprise, surprise. But okay. But this way we have something very complete with this particular recording, which once again I will do my very best to get it uploaded. Let me just say as soon as possible. Okay. So once again, for anybody watching, Stoops, OMALC.com is the URL if you want to formalize your distance training relationship with me. Let's bow this out, everybody. Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, Japanese. All right, I'm going to end this recording.